Hi guys, had a suggestion from MC's Creations that I could have a look at a website, and I can't pronounce this, it's German, Baubericht Microfighter. They've got 3 different designs on there. They use the Wltoys V911 receiver that comes out of a toy helicopter. I've got 2 of these already, but they're both in use. So I've been on eBay and ordered myself the cheapest one I can find, but that won't be here for a couple of months. It's got to come from China. But in the meantime, I printed off one of the plane plans. You can download all of them. And I was looking at my styrofoam pizza trays, or polystyrene, or whatever these are made out of. I was just laying that straight over the plan there, and that looks big enough to actually make one of these planes. So that's what I'm going to do. But because I'm going to have to wait for the receiver, I think I'll put one of these together as a test and fit one of my 10-second timers on it. So we'll have the electric motor. It's a pusher, fits just there. And rather than having it radio controlled, we'll just arrange for it to go round in circles, climb for 10 seconds and hopefully glide. So that's the plan. See if we can make it out of this and stick a little electric motor on it and see if we can make it climb and then glide. This will be one of those builds that's going to take a little bit longer than I like. I like to get things done in one session, in an hour or something. This is going to take a bit longer than that. Just feeling where the edge of the dish is, or pizza tray. This particular design, there's 2 options. There's the faster version, which is a narrower wing, and the slower, more stable version, which is this outer version. Right, hopefully that's marked it up well enough that I can cut that out. You probably can't see it, I'll just darken it up. I don't need to do this, this is just so you can see it. Now obviously we need to add a bit on the front there for that bit and cut all this out. I'll go and get my cutting board. Well, we'll see what happens. I'll glue that and put some white on it. Not going to cut that bit because that's a separate piece anyway. Right, got a bit of gluing to do. I've put a bit of tape on the bottom. I'm going to fold this over a bit, put some Gorilla Glue in there, give it a bit of water to activate it, then put a bit of greaseproof paper over the top and put the weight on it to hold it all still and leave it to dry. Go over there. Gorilla Glue expands as it sets. But it needs water to activate it. That's it, we'll leave that and come back later. Well, I've left this all day, so I'm hoping that glue will have dried. There's not going to be a lot of strength in a joint like that anyway. Hopefully, when we put the fuselage along there, that will give it strength because it will be a T shape, and then we got the bottom part of the fuselage to put underneath, so it will be a cross. And I'm also thinking of possibly putting either fiberglass or carbon fibre rod all the way along to give it strength that way. On the diagram it shows a bit of carbon fibre across that way to give it strength, so yeah, not sure. I would have thought across there was relatively strong, but yeah, I've got some 1mm carbon fibre, so I'll put that across there anyway. Because I could leave it exactly as per diagram, because the guy is clearly flying this quite well, radio controlled. So, but then he's not using pizza trays, is he? Let's see what this looks like. Well, that looks okay. So we need to glue that on there. I want to try and make sure it stays upright. Could put that on there, I suppose, just to hold it upright. I'll use Gorilla Glue again. When it's all dry, I might round off the edges a little bit. So I'll glue that on. I don't think you need to actually see me doing each bit of gluing. I've got pins on both sides to hold it down, weight on the back to hold it flat, and also to keep it vertical. So we'll see. Morning guys. Let's have a look, see if the glue's dried. That's not good. There we go. Didn't expect it to stick to that. On this side I used the grease-proof paper. Still, that looks okay. Alright, so we need to add these bits. And those bits. Right, I'll glue them in place. I think I'll go and get some more pins because I'm a bit short on pins there. The thing about using Gorilla Glue is because it expands, it can change the alignment as it dries. It can actually push the pieces out of place. Right, leave that to dry. Well, I've left this while we've been out for the day, so hopefully the Gorilla Glue is dry. We can take the pins out. Let's just pull them out. When you put the pins in, it's a good idea to try and avoid going through the glue, because then they come out cleanly. If you put them in the glue sticks to them and you can't get them out again. Or you can, and you rip half of the glue with it. So, there we are. That's the basic plane put together. Need to tidy it up a little bit. I've still got to put the carbon fibre strengthener across the back there. I was talking about putting a strengthener along the fuselage, but this seems quite rigid, so I think I'll leave that. Because I'm not going to put radio control on this one, I probably don't need much of a motor on there. I can probably get away with a fairly lightweight motor. Still need to put my 10-second timer on there and a small LiPo battery, and I'll probably cut there, there and there and score along those lines so I can actually bend them to give us some trim, and I'll give it a bit of a sand down all round to just smooth the edges a bit. For the motor, I think what I'll do is I'll pinch one of the motors off this fan boat that I made a while back, because they're pretty small little coreless motors. So if I carefully cut that back off, it's all sealed in 2-part resin there, or epoxy. But I should be able to get one of them off, tuck it in there, and I think that may well be powerful enough to do this when it isn't carrying radio gear and all the rest of it. We'll find out. I tend to make mine underpowered. I've carefully recovered one of those motors off the boat. Still bits of epoxy stuck to the wires, and I'm not going to attempt to get it off because I'm more likely to actually break the wires or pull them out the back of the motor, so I'll have to live with that. So that's going to fit in there nicely. As I say, I think this is a smaller motor than the one that's intended, but I think this will be lighter than the radio controlled version, so I shouldn't need as much power. I intend to make this free flight with a 10-second timer, as I keep saying. I did a video on one of these the other day, designed by somebody at the Peterborough Model Flying Club. Field effect timer using a MOSFET, one of these things, a tantalum capacitor. I'll put a link in the video description to where this all comes from. And we also, what I've been using is a potentiometer, so I can vary the resistance across here. What you do is you charge up the capacitor using a separate battery. That switches on the MOSFET and allows the power to flow to the motor from a separate battery, and the capacitor slowly discharges through the resistor, and depending on what resistance you set it to depends on how long it takes to shut down. So I'll solder one of them up. Probably fit it under here somewhere. two of those legs to be sticking out so we can touch the battery to them. One way or the other. And then the battery, I assume I want to be able to move along here to adjust the centre of gravity, so I shan't glue it in or anything. I'll probably use sticky tape just to hold it in place until we get the balance right. Just stick that on there for now. Positive side of the capacitor goes to the positive side of the MOSFET. I could have zoomed in on that, couldn't I? Now, potentiometer. That one's the common. So what I did was I bent it across and soldered it on top of there, like that. Yeah, that should be alright. Something like that. So that's the MOSFET, tantalum capacitor and variable resistor. And then the motor goes onto the middle one, which is the drain. Then through the motor, through the battery, and then the battery is then also connected onto the source there. But I need to bend these up a bit because we're probably going to want to be able to touch the battery on it to charge it. It's a 9-volt battery we use, and it needs to be able to touch both sides of there. Yeah, that'll do. So probably can't see what I'm doing, but they will touch on there. And we need to make sure we get it the right way round. I'm just putting it on the wrong way round now. This is actually a flat battery. I can put my tongue on it, and there's no power in it. It'll go that way. There's no heat going to go into this. There's not going to be enough power to actually heat that up, so I'm not worried about just gluing that straight on there somewhere. What we need to arrange for the motor, I'll poke a little hole through, push that wire through. Let's get some distances worked out. Put this back there somewhere. Right, I'll just put some blue tack on there to hold the motor in place temporarily. Okay, for that propeller, that is going backwards. Right, so that's the opposite hand propeller. Okay, that's the right way round. So, we can glue that in place and we can get on with the soldering. In fact, I'll do the soldering first. Demonstration purposes. Right, that's got a bit more power in it. Just hold the motor steady. Positive to this side. Okay, well that was a bit too long for my liking, so we'll adjust that. Let's go that far. And as you can tell, that was a bit quicker to stop. So I think we got the principles there. So the battery, I'll probably just put sticky tape on it so we can adjust it forwards and backwards to give us some sort of centre of gravity adjustment. This thing, we need to glue it in place so those two legs are sticking up. We need to glue the motor in place. So I'll do that. I'll use Gorilla Glue because that will fill up all the gaps then. I'm just checking it for centre of gravity. I haven't put any glue on yet, and with it arranged like this, it's just a bit nose heavy. So that'll allow me to move that battery back a bit. I'm just trying to get a feel of what we need. Well, that's just about spot on the marked centre of gravity position. So that looks okay. It looks like I can move the battery forwards and backwards along there to adjust our centre of gravity. Just using those pieces of foam either side there to hold the prop or propeller straight, so that when that Gorilla Glue starts expanding and tries to move the motor, that should hold it straight. That's my theory. Good morning, guys. All up together. I've just got the battery taped in place. Got a little tab on there so I can pull the tape off to adjust the centre of gravity. At the moment, it is spot on where it should be. But I don't know how that will equate to using it for free flight instead of radio controlled. I've put the carbon fibre strengthener across the back there. I've just glued it straight on top. I was going to cut a little slot for it and bury it in, but I've just done it that way for now. I've extended the legs on the timer there. I don't know if that's visible. I've made them a little bit longer and put nice little rounded ends on them so I don't have sharp edges to get my fingers on. This will be loud, but I'll just demonstrate it. I've got it set for quite a short run at the moment. So we just touch that on there. So actually that's only about 5 or 6 seconds. Just enough so we can see whether it's going to fly. I can always take a screwdriver with me and adjust the time. And that's quite handy that the propeller is protected with fuel cells, fuel tanks. So, ready to fly. I was saying that I was going to round all the edges off. I haven't done that yet. I did score along the elevator positions so we can adjust them to give us a bit of trim. Same with the rudder. But my intention is just to give it a very short free flight and see what happens. And then in a month or two's time, when the radio control receiver arrives from eBay, we can either build a completely new one, or I can chop this bit out, put the receiver in there, and the receiver has the servos on it, so we just need to connect from the servos to the elevators, ailerons, and then have fun trying to get the mix right so that we get proper aileron control. It might not last that long. I might throw it out in the field and it might disappear into the distance. We'll see.